There have been 8 different couples who have appeared in MrBeast, and today we're going over all of them and what their relationships are like now. From nasty breakups to drama and everything else in between, we're going over it all. Like how very recently we would see an ex-couple get back together because of a MrBeast video. We would see this in the video titled "Survive 30 Days Chained to Your Ex, Win $250,000. And I know personally I would not get chained to my ex for 250 grand. But these 2 participants in the video would be Susie and Josh, and they were together for 4 years. But then they unfortunately broke up in 2022. They would accept the challenge and get right to starting.
I'm locked in.
However, the first few days of the challenge would be really hard, as obviously they have been broken up and haven't talked for over 3 years. So things got heated at times, to say the least.
Because I feel like you're saying things that make me want to die.
These conflicts they were having were not helping their chances of winning the challenge, and they realized this too, as they sat down and decided to talk about and settle their differences so they could win the challenge.
This is more rough than I thought it was gonna be. We're not gonna survive this if it keeps going like today did.
But I think we should try.
Absolutely, I think we should try.
And this really helped, as they started locking in and were really starting to get along with each other surprisingly, and arguing way less. It would get to the point where they would start feeling attached to each other again, and it got pretty emotional at times.
No cry. I was so madly in love with you when I broke up with you.
After this interaction, things ramped up. Susie would start waist-hugging Josh again, and they would finally start bonding like a couple. On day 24, Josh would get rid of all his nervousness and ask Susie out on a date, which she would agree to.
Can I take you on a real date when we leave?
Like outside of here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to go on an actual date.
And things would keep going well, as they both ended up passing the challenge, and at the end, we would see something shocking happen.
What's next for the 2 of you?
Oh.
Oh, whoa, I was not expecting that. Okay, looks like they're happy now. I hope you guys enjoyed and subscribe.
Susie and Josh would indeed get back together after this long journey, in a really nice and heartwarming way. Caught my ass smiling at the end. Jimmy's casually bringing couples together, and after this challenge was completed by them, Susie would start posting frequently on her YouTube channel with Josh, and they would have a happy ending in the end. Now, this story was one of the more wholesome ones, but the pregnant lady at Beast Games situation was pretty crazy. Basically, a girl named Sarah and her husband Josiah would both get picked to participate in the Beast Games, and they would fly out to Las Vegas to participate.
Once we officially became a part of Beast Games, we packed our bags and flew out to Las Vegas with 2,000 other contestants.
However, they wouldn't last long, as a few days in, they would get eliminated because of a random lady that betrayed their team for $50,000, just for her to betray them too early and not even win the money. Now, according to Sarah and Josiah, this day was their 5-year anniversary, and because of them getting out, they would decide to have a baby.
We actually got eliminated on our 5-year anniversary, and we were so tired, so sad. So the only thing that made sense for us to do was
make a baby in Las Vegas.
This was honestly a crazy story, as nobody expected this, but it was definitely a wholesome way to grieve their loss in the Beast Games. What a W story. The unintended 2001st contestant. And just a few months later, in June of 2025, they would officially have their baby boy, Coda.
And then we got this little angel with hiccups.
Now, having a kid is one huge accomplishment, but another huge accomplishment for a couple is a proposal. And we see exactly that in the MrBeast video, $10,000 every day you survive in prison. In this video, we would see a guy named Josh, and he would take up this pretty difficult challenge. However, one of the most difficult parts of the challenge was that Josh wasn't really able to see his girlfriend much, and he would end up realizing this, as on the 12th day, his girlfriend would visit him, and he would be really happy.
Oh my god! Put that down. I don't care. Oh my god.
They look so happy. He's gone 12 days without seeing his girlfriend.
And on this same day, he would make the big decision that he finally wanted to propose to her. So he would give Chris and Chandler $20,000 to go buy a ring for his girlfriend.
I actually want you guys to take this 20 grand and I want you to buy a ring with it because I'm gonna propose to my girlfriend at the end of this video.
And sure enough, he was not lying at all, as at the end of the video, he would do the big proposal that we were all waiting for.
I want to spend the rest of my life with you and I want to grow old with you and I need to ask you a question.
Oh my god!
Will you marry me?
Oh, yes! I'm tripping for the money they just won.
And on top of that, we brought your family out.
Oh my god!
At the end, Josh would end up walking out with a fiance, his family, and along with that, $340,000 happily earned. However, we aren't done with the proposals, as there was actually a proposal that occurred on the Beast Games show, but nobody that was at the Beast Games ever got to see it. Let me explain. Basically, a couple by the name of Stephen England and Tiffany Weaver would be 2 of the 2,000 participants in Beast Games, and apparently during episode 1, Stephen would propose to Tiffany, but the part would never make it into the main show, and it was never truly revealed why. Now, there can be a few reasons as to why this wasn't put on set, and remember, all of these reasons are speculations, as none of them have been confirmed to be the true reason. The first possible reason could be that the producers maybe didn't find the content to be appealing enough, or felt like it belonged to the show. The second reason is that the production team may have not wanted the attention to be on Stephen and Tiffany, therefore they would cut this part out. However, this story doesn't leave on a cliffhanger, as we would get confirmation from the couple themselves, as Tiffany explains how they were not engaged or married at the time. Hi, that was us. I can confirm we weren't engaged or married at the time. It came as a complete surprise because he didn't even have a ring. Of course, we'd been talking about getting engaged, and people assumed we were married because we were obviously a couple. But thankfully, a while later, we would get to see this unseen footage, because the sponsor of Beast Games, Money Lion, would post it. Now, this moment would have still been nice to see in the show, as it is still wholesome at the end of the day, and the couple would have loved to see their proposal on television. However, we always have to remember that there aren't only couple contestants in MrBeast, as crew members also have happy or not so happy couples, just like Chandler and Kara. Now, Chandler would meet Kara back in 2020. Their first date is unknown, and just 1 year later, on July 11th, 2021, Chandler would announce on his Instagram that he and Kara were now engaged, and would be getting married soon. And 1 more year later, on July 22nd, 2022, Chandler would officially get married with Kara.
I now present to you Mr. and Mrs. Chandler Hallows.
Now, there's not much more known about Chandler and Kara, as they seem to like to keep most of their relationship private, but Chandler is married and living happily with Kara. However, the same can't really be said for Chris and Catherine. Now, Katie Tyson is the ex-wife of Chris Tyson.
Push you brought a friend.
It's my wife, Katie.
However, they had a long journey before the divorce. Katie would meet Chris sometime around 2018, and they would get married that same year. And when it comes to social media, Katie would mostly stay out of it, as she would only appear in one MrBeast video, which was titled, "I gave him 1 hour to spend $100,000, and she would be seen with Chris. But that wasn't it, as on June 18th, 2020, they would have their first ever kid, and they would name him Tucker. Everything would keep going really good. Chris and Katie would keep raising Tucker. However, around 2020, things would change. We would start seeing Katie way less class with Chris, and they would occasionally comment nice things about Tucker in each other's comment sections. And the last picture they posted together was in Christmas of 2021. But around the same time in 2022, we would start seeing Chris go through some changes. Around the same time, he would announce that he and Katie officially divorced. But not to worry, as this wouldn't affect Tucker in any way, and both him and Katie still raise Tucker and love him the same. Now, all of these relationships have been pretty straightforward, but the relationship between Nolan and Madison Beer is pretty confusing. Now, this relationship was a pretty short one, and not really official. Let me explain. On June 7th, 2025, MrBeast uploaded a video titled $1 versus $500,000 date, and in the $250,000 date, Nolan would actually go out with Madison Beer.
Madison Beer, the two-time Grammy nominee, platinum-selling artist with over 3.5 billion streams worldwide, is going on a date with my awkward friend Nolan.
Now, clearly, Nolan was really awkward at first, but things would get better throughout the date.
Sorry, I just got lost in your eyes.
Oh, that's so sweet.
He took the shot.
As the goal the whole time was for Nolan to be able to secure a second date with Madison. Throughout the date, they would go to an animal farm and go to an Angels game, have a sushi dinner, and Madison would even be able to drive her dream car. And at the end of the date, Nolan would ask the big question on if Madison would like to go on a second date with him to Disneyland, and she would say yes.
Would you like to go on a second date to Disneyland with me?
Yes.
Let's head on over.
They would successfully go on the $500,000 Disney date, along with many other couples. Now, these dates were pretty cool to see. However, this was never an official relationship, as Madison has been dating the famous TikToker Nick Austin since 2020, and these dates were most likely just for content, and Nick agreed for Madison to do this. However, we can't be making a MrBeast couples video without including MrBeast's own relationship. As of now, MrBeast is engaged to Thea Boyson. However, the way they met was really interesting. Thea is a South African American creator who made a name for herself on YouTube and Twitch. Most people online know her as Thea Beastie, and she makes content for the games Witcher 3, League of Legends, and all kinds of card games. Along with that, she's working towards her master's degree for neuropsychology in Scotland. But moving on to the way her and Jimmy met. Back in 2022, Jimmy flew to South Africa with Logan Paul and Casey Neistat, and they were there because they planned to film a video in Antarctica. However, everyone got COVID in the process and had to cancel the video. Now, due to this, they had to stay in South Africa a bit longer, and thankfully they did, as one day, Logan Paul convinced Jimmy to go out to a club for the night, and one of Thea's friends would end up being there and would tell Thea to join them. And in this moment, she would meet her future fiance. Her and Jimmy would start talking, and throughout the conversation, Thea would love how Jimmy would keep up with the conversation, and according to Thea, it turns out MrBeast had a list he was going off. So he would be really able to get to know her and see how she really was as a person. Now, after this, they really felt a connection between each other and would eventually start dating. Their relationship would go well with no conflicts, and she would even appear in a few videos. However, Christmas Day 2024 would be a special day for both of them, as Jimmy would propose to Thea. Jimmy would share pictures of this on Instagram, and their wedding is yet to happen. Now, all of these relationships were definitely cool to think about, and I bet you didn't know about some of these. But if you enjoyed the video, go watch the one on screen. Me and YouTube think you'll love it.